Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the USS Liberty and looked out at the massive space station floating before them. Harmony Point was huge, bigger than any city on Earth. Ships from dozens of different worlds came and went like busy insects around a hive. The Liberty had been waiting here for 3 weeks now, and Jake was getting tired of it. "Captain, we have another message from the Veltharian Empire," said Commander Lisa Bradley. She walked over to Jake with a worried look on her face. Lisa was the ship's diplomatic officer, and she had been dealing with angry aliens for weeks. Now, Jake turned to face her. "Let me guess. They want to know why their princess still won't get on one of their ships." "That's right," Lisa said. "Emperor Kethamor is getting really angry. He says his daughter is being foolish and causing problems for everyone. The princess in question was named Zara Lynn, and she was supposed to come to Earth for very important peace talks. The Veltharian Empire was one of the most powerful groups in the galaxy. They had big ships, strong weapons, and technology that made human stuff look like old toys. But Princess Zara Lynn refused to travel on any of their ships. She would only travel on a human ship." "Have we found out why she wants to travel with us?" Jake asked. Lisa shook her head. "She won't tell anyone except you. She says she will only explain her reasons to the human captain." Jake sighed. The whole thing was strange. Humans were new to space compared to most other races. Their ships were smaller and slower. Their weapons were not as powerful. Most aliens thought humans were cute but not very impressive. So why would an alien princess want to travel on a human ship instead of her own people's advanced vessels? "Sir, the princess is asking to meet with you again," said Lieutenant Ben Parker from the communication station. "She's waiting in docking, Bay 7, Jake nodded. "Tell her I'll be there in 10 minutes. He turned to Lisa. "Come with me. Maybe we can finally get some answers." The docking bay was busy with people from many different worlds. Jake and Lisa walked through the crowd until they saw a group of tall, blue-skinned aliens standing near one of the loading areas. These were Veltharians, and they all looked unhappy. In the middle of the group stood Princess Zara Lynn. She was tall like all her people, with dark blue skin that seemed to shimmer in the light. Her eyes were large and silver, and she wore simple clothes instead of the fancy robes Jake expected a princess to wear. What surprised him most was that she looked young, maybe the same age as his own daughter back on Earth. Near the princess stood a very large Veltharian in military uniform. This was General Thexkar, the leader of the Royal Guard. He had scars on his face and arms that told of many battles. Jake could see that the general was not happy about the situation. "Captain Morrison," Princess Zara Lynn said when she saw Jake. Her English was good but had a strange accent. "Thank you for coming to see me again." "Your Highness," Jake said with a small bow. "My government wants to help you get to Earth safely, but we need to understand why you won't travel on one of your own ships." General Thexkar stepped forward. "Captain, this foolishness has gone on long enough. Our ships are faster, stronger, and safer than anything humans have built. The princess should travel with proper protection." The princess raised her hand and the general stopped talking. "General Thexkar, please let me speak with the captain alone. Your Highness, I cannot leave you unprotected with these." The general started to say. "These humans are not our enemies," the princess said firmly. "They are here to help us make peace. Please wait outside the docking bay." The general looked very unhappy, but he bowed and walked away with the other Veltharian guards. Now Jake and Lisa were alone with the princess. "Captain Morrison," Princess Zara Lynn said, "I have studied your people for many years. I have read about your history, your wars, your victories and defeats. Do you know what I learned?" Jake shook his head. "What did you learn, Your Highness?" "I learned that humans do things that should be impossible," she said. Her silver eyes seemed to glow with excitement. "You fight enemies that are bigger and stronger than you, and you win. You solve problems that have no good answers. You survive when everyone thinks you should die." Lisa looked confused. "I don't understand, Your Highness. What does this have to do with your travel arrangements?" The princess walked over to a window that looked out into space. "Commander Bradley, How many times have humans been told that something cannot be done? I guess many times, Lisa said. And how many times have humans proved everyone wrong? The princess asked. Jake was starting to understand. You think we're lucky? Not lucky, Princess Zaralyn said, turning back to face them. Smart in a different way. My people make plans for everything. We build ships that cannot fail. We follow rules that keep us safe. But sometimes, safety is not enough. She pointed toward the space outside the window. The journey to Earth is dangerous. There are pirates, rebels, and people who do not want peace between our worlds. My people would take the safest route, use the biggest ships, follow all the proper procedures. And that is exactly what our enemies expect us to do. Jake nodded slowly. But humans might do something unexpected. Yes, the princess said with a smile. Humans look at a problem and think of new ways to solve it. You use tricks that no one expects. You take risks that seem crazy but somehow work out. General Thexkar's voice came from outside the docking bay. Your Highness, the Emperor is calling again. He demands to know when you will board a proper ship. Princess Zaralyn sighed. My father thinks I am being foolish. He does not understand that sometimes the best choice is not the obvious choice. Your Highness, Jake said. Are you sure about this? Our ship is smaller than yours. We don't have as many weapons or as much protection. The princess looked at him with those strange silver eyes. Captain Morrison, has any human ship ever failed to complete its mission because the crew gave up? Jake thought about it. Human crews were known for being stubborn. They kept trying even when things looked hopeless. No, Your Highness. We don't give up easily. That is why I choose to travel on your ship, she said. Because I believe that human determination and cleverness will get us to Earth safely, even if everything goes wrong. Jake looked at Lisa, who nodded slightly. All right. Your Highness, the USS Liberty will take you to Earth, but we do things our way. I would not want it any other way, Princess Zaralyn said with another smile. Outside, General Thexkar was clearly not happy about the decision, but the princess had made up her mind. Jake just hoped that her faith in human abilities was not misplaced. The journey to Earth would test everything she believed about his people. The USS Liberty moved away from Harmony Point and began its journey toward Earth. Captain Jake Morrison felt good about finally getting started, but he knew the trip would not be easy. Princess Zaralyn was now aboard his ship, and her people were following them in their own big warships. Jake walked through the ship to check on his crew. The Liberty was not a large ship, but it was home to 42 good people. Each one of them knew their job well, and Jake trusted them all. He found Chief Engineer Pete Collins in the engine room, working on one of the power systems. Pete was a short man with grease on his hands and a smile on his face. He loved fixing things and making them work better. How are we doing, Pete? Jake asked. Good, Captain, Pete said. The engines are running smooth. We should reach Earth in about 2 weeks if nothing goes wrong. That's what I like to hear, Jake said. He was about to leave when he saw something strange. Princess Zaralyn was standing near the main engine, looking at it very carefully. Your Highness, Jake said, surprised. What are you doing here? Princess turned around. She had changed out of her formal clothes and was now wearing a simple blue jumpsuit like the crew members wore. Captain Morrison, I hope you don't mind. I wanted to see how human engines work. Pete looked nervous. Captain, I told her she could look around. I hope that's okay. It's fine, Pete, Jake said. He walked over to the princess. Most passengers don't want to see the engine room. I am not most passengers, she said with a small smile. Captain, may I ask Chief Collins some questions about your technology? Jake nodded. Go ahead. Princess Zaralyn turned to Pete. Chief Collins, your warp drive is very different from ours. Why do you use so many backup systems? Pete scratched his head. Well, Your Highness, human ships break down sometimes. We like to have extra parts and systems in case something stops working. But doesn't that make your ship heavier and slower? She asked. Yeah, a little, Pete said. But it also means we can keep going even when things go bad. Veltharian ships are faster, but if something breaks, they have to stop and fix it properly. The princess nodded thoughtfully. So you choose reliability over speed? That's right, Pete said. We'd rather get there late than not get there at all. Jake watched this conversation with interest. The princess seemed to really understand what Pete was talking about. Most aliens thought human engineering was primitive, but she seemed to see the value in it. Later that day, Jake was on the bridge when Dr. Amy Rodriguez came to see him. Amy was the ship's science officer, a smart woman who knew about many different subjects. "Captain, I need to talk to you about our passenger," Amy said quietly. "What about her?" Jake asked. "She's been asking me questions all morning. Very detailed. Questions about human history and culture. She knows more about us than most humans do." Jake frowned. "What kind of questions?" She wanted to know about the Battle of Thermopylae, where 300 Spartans fought thousands of Persian soldiers. She asked about the American Revolution, where colonists defeated the British Empire. She even knew about the Battle of Britain in World War II. Those are all stories about smaller forces beating larger ones, Jake realized. Exactly, Amy said. She's been studying every time humans won against impossible odds. She asked me why humans keep fighting even when they should give up. What did you tell her? Jake asked. I said that humans don't like being told what they can't do, Amy replied. She seemed very interested in that answer. That evening, Jake was in his quarters when Lieutenant Ben Parker called him from the bridge. Captain, we're getting some strange reports from our long-range sensors, Ben said. There are ships moving around in the Kythera Nebula about 2 days ahead of us. Jake hurried to the bridge. The Kythera Nebula was a big cloud of gas and energy that made it hard for ships to see each other. It was a perfect place for pirates, or other bad people to hide. How many ships? Jake asked. We can't tell for sure, Ben said. The nebula makes our sensors fuzzy, but it looks like at least 3 or 4 large vessels. Commander Lisa Bradley joined them on the bridge. Captain, I've been monitoring communications from other ships in the area. There are reports of attacks on merchant vessels near the nebula. Jake thought about this. The nebula was directly on their path to Earth. They could go around it, but that would add several days to their trip. Princess Zara Lynn had said she wanted to see how humans handled problems. Sir, said Lieutenant Sam Torres from the tactical station, the Veltharian escort ships are calling. General Thexkar wants to talk to you. Put him on screen, Jake said. The general's scarred face appeared on the main viewer. He looked even more unhappy than usual. Captain Morrison, we have detected hostile forces near the nebula. You must change course immediately. General, we haven't confirmed that those ships are hostile, Jake said. It does not matter, the general replied. The princess's safety is more important than staying on schedule. We will escort you around the nebula. Jake was about to answer when Princess Zara Lynn walked onto the bridge. She had been listening to the conversation. General Thexkar, she said, please do not interfere with Captain Morrison's decisions. I chose to travel on this ship because I trust human judgment. Your Highness, this is foolish, the general said. We should take the safe route. The safe route is what our enemies expect us to take, the princess replied. They probably have ships waiting for us there too. Jake looked at the princess with new respect. She was thinking like a military officer, not just a royal passenger. Captain, she continued, what would you normally do in this situation? Jake thought for a moment. We'd probably go through the nebula, but very carefully. We'd use our sensors to find the safest path and be ready for trouble. Then that is what we should do, she said. General Thexkar's face turned darker blue, which Jake had learned meant he was angry. Your Highness, I cannot allow this. My duty is to protect you. Your duty is to follow my orders, the princess said firmly, and I order you to let Captain Morrison handle this his way. The general was quiet for a long moment. Then he bowed, his head slightly. As you wish, Your Highness, but my ships will stay close to yours. That is acceptable, she said. After the general ended the call, Jake turned to the princess. Your Highness, are you sure about this? The general might be right about the danger. Princess Zara Lynn smiled. Captain Morrison, I told you I wanted to see how humans solve problems. This is exactly the kind of situation I was talking about. A Veltharian commander would take the safe route and follow all the rules. But you're thinking of a different way, aren't you? Jake nodded slowly. Actually, I am. The nebula's energy makes it hard for ships to target each other accurately. That could work in our favor since we're smaller and more maneuverable than most attackers. See? The princess said. You're already thinking like I hoped you would. You're not just avoiding the problem, you're looking for a way to use it to your advantage. Jake looked around at his crew. They all seemed ready for whatever came next. Pete had the engines running perfectly. Amy had been studying the nebula's properties. Sam had weapons ready. Ben was monitoring all communications. All right, Jake said. We go through the nebula, but everyone stays alert. If there really are hostile ships in there, we'll need to be very careful. As the USS Liberty approached the swirling clouds of the Kythera Nebula, Jake wondered if the princess's faith in human creativity would be enough to get them through safely. Soon, they would find out. The USS Liberty entered the Kythera Nebula slowly and carefully. Captain Jake Morrison watched the main screen as swirling clouds of purple and blue gas surrounded his ship. The nebula was beautiful but dangerous. The energy inside it made their sensors work poorly, and their communications fuzzy. Captain, I'm getting strange readings, said Dr. Amy Rodriguez from her science station. The nebula is more active than usual. There's a lot of electrical energy moving around in there. That might help us hide from anyone watching, Jake said. But it also means we can't see them very well either. Lieutenant Ben Parker looked up from his communications panel. Sir, I'm getting pieces of radio signals. Someone is definitely out there, but I can't tell where they are or what they're saying. Princess Zaralyn stood near the back of the bridge, watching everything carefully. She had been quiet since they entered the nebula, but Jake could see that she was paying attention to every detail. Contact from General Thexkar, Ben announced. Put him through, Jake said. The general's face appeared on the screen, but the image was fuzzy because of the nebula's interference. Captain Morrison, my sensors show at least 3 large ships moving toward your position. You must turn back. Now, how far away are they? Jake asked. Approximately 10 minutes at current speed, the general replied. Captain, please reconsider. My ships can protect you if you leave the nebula. Jake looked at his tactical officer, Lieutenant Sam Torres. Sam, what do you think? The general is right about the ships, Captain, Sam said. But if we turn back now, they might chase us into open space where they have all the advantages. Princess. Zaralyn stepped forward. Captain, may I suggest something? Jake nodded. Go ahead, Your Highness. In my studies of human military history, I learned about something called a fighting retreat. Instead of running away completely, you move back slowly while making it difficult for your enemy to follow. That's right, Jake said, impressed. We could use the nebula's energy against them. Chief Engineer Pete Collins' voice came over the intercom from the engine room. Captain, I've been monitoring the nebula's energy patterns. If we adjust our shields in a certain way, we might be able to reflect some of that energy back at anyone who gets too close. Can you do that, Pete? Jake asked. Give me 5 minutes, Pete replied. Suddenly, Lieutenant Ben Parker called out, urgently. Captain, I'm picking up weapon signatures. 3 ships are coming straight at us and they're charging their guns. Red alert, Jake announced. All hands to battle stations. The lights on the bridge changed to red as the crew prepared for combat. Jake could feel the tension in the air. His ship was smaller and weaker than the attackers, but they had advantages too. Incoming message from the attacking ships, Ben said. Let's hear it, Jake replied. A harsh voice filled the bridge. Human ship, surrender Princess Zaralyn immediately. You cannot escape and we will destroy you if you resist. Jake looked at the princess. Any idea who these people are? Separatists, she said grimly. They don't want peace between our peoples. They think that if humans and Veltharians become allies, we will be too powerful for anyone else to challenge. Well, they're about to learn something about human stubbornness, Jake said. He turned to his crew. Sam, can you get a weapons lock on any of their ships? Negative, Captain, Sam replied. The nebula is interfering with our targeting systems, but the same thing is happening to them. Pete, how are those shield modifications coming? Jake asked. Almost ready, Captain. Pete's voice came back. But I need you to get us closer to that big energy storm on our left. Jake looked at the screen. There was indeed a swirling mass of electrical energy about 2 kilometers away. It looked dangerous. Captain, Dr. Amy Rodriguez said, flying into that energy storm could damage our ship, but it might damage their ships too, Princess Zaralyn said. And you said human ships are built to keep working even when things go wrong, Jake smiled. You've been paying attention. Ben, send a message to General Thexkar, tell him to stay back and be ready to help us if we make it through this. Aye, Captain, Ben replied. All right, everyone, Jake announced. We're going to do something that probably looks crazy to our attackers. We're flying straight into that energy storm. The 3 enemy ships were getting closer. Jake could see them on the screen now. Dark shapes moving through the colorful nebula gas. They were firing their weapons, but the beams went wild because of the electrical interference. Pete, are you ready? Jake asked. Ready as I'll ever be, Captain, Pete replied. Just get us into that storm and I'll do the rest. Jake turned to his helmsman. Take us in, nice and steady. The USS Liberty moved toward the swirling energy storm. Lightning danced across their shields as they got closer. The whole ship shook as electrical currents hit them. Shields at 70%, Sam Torres reported. The enemy ships are following us, Ben added. They're trying to attack before we reach the storm. Too late for that, Jake said. The Liberty plunged into the energy storm. Everything went wild. Lightning filled the air around them. The lights on the bridge flickered. Jake could hear the ship's metal hull creaking under the stress. Now, Pete, Jake shouted over the noise. Activating modified shields, Pete announced. Suddenly, the energy storm seemed to bend around the Liberty. Instead of hitting the ship, the lightning began bouncing off in different directions. Some of it went straight back toward the 3 attacking ships. It's working, Dr. Rodriguez called out. The energy is reflecting off our shields and hitting their ships. On the main screen, Jake could see the enemy vessels getting hit by massive bolts of lightning. Their shields were sparking and failing. One of the ships was spinning out of control. They're retreating, Ben announced. 2 of the ships are pulling back. The third one looks like it's having engine problems. Princess Zaralyn was staring at the screen in amazement. Captain Morrison, how did you know that would work? I didn't, Jake admitted. But Pete said it might work, and sometimes you have, to trust your people and take the chance. The Veltharian military would never attempt something so risky, she said. That's probably why it worked, Sam Torres said. They didn't expect us to fly into an energy storm on purpose. Captain, Ben called out. General Thexkar is asking if we need assistance. Tell him we're fine, Jake said. But ask him to keep an eye out for those retreating ships. They might try to attack again. As the Liberty emerged from the energy storm, Jake felt proud of his crew. They had faced a dangerous situation and found a creative solution. The princess had been right about human problem-solving. Your Highness, Jake said, I hope that was the kind of thing you were expecting when you chose to travel with us. Princess, Zaralyn smiled. Captain, that was exactly what I was hoping to see. You took a dangerous situation and turned it into an advantage. My people would have tried to fight the enemy ships directly, or they would have run away. You found a third option that no one expected. We're not out of the nebula yet, Jake warned. There might be more trouble ahead. I hope so, the princess said, surprising everyone. I want to learn as much as possible about how humans handle difficult situations. Dr. Rodriguez looked at her strangely. You want more trouble? I want to understand why humans succeed when others fail, the princess explained. Every challenge teaches me something new about your people. Jake shook his head with a smile. Princess Zaralyn was definitely not like any royal passenger he had ever carried. She was turning out to be as brave and curious as any member of his crew. As the USS Liberty continued through the nebula toward Earth, Jake wondered what other surprises lay ahead. With Princess Zaralyn aboard, this trip was certainly not going to be boring. The USS Liberty emerged from the Kythera Nebula without any more trouble. Captain Jake Morrison felt relieved as they entered normal space again. The ship's sensors worked properly now, and the crew could see clearly in all directions. Princess Zara Lynn had spent the last 3 days talking with different crew members. Jake noticed that she was learning something new from each person she met. She asked questions about everything from cooking food to fixing broken equipment. "Captain," Dr. Amy Rodriguez said as she joined him on the bridge. The princess asked me to teach her about human exploration history. She wanted to know about the early space missions and why humans kept trying even when rockets exploded. "What did you tell her?" Jake asked. "I told her about the Apollo program, how humans kept working to reach the moon even after astronauts died in accidents. She seemed very interested in that idea." Jake nodded. "She's trying to understand what makes us different from her people." "Lieutenant Mai." Ben Parker looked up from his communication station. "Captain, we're getting a message from Earth. They want to know our arrival time." "Tell them we should be there in 4 days if everything goes well," Jake replied. "There's also a message from the Veltharian Empire," Ben added. "They're asking about the princess's safety after the attack in the nebula. Send them a report that she's fine and we're continuing on schedule," Jake said. Princess Zara Lynn walked onto the bridge carrying a small tablet. She had been writing notes about everything she observed during the trip. "Captain Morrison," she said, "may I ask you something?" "Of course, Your Highness. I have been studying your crew for several days now. Each person I talk to tells me the same thing in different ways. They all say that humans never give up. But I want to understand why. What makes humans keep trying when the situation looks hopeless?" Jake thought about her question. "I guess we don't like being told that something is impossible. When someone says we can't do something, it makes us want to prove them wrong. But that seems like it would lead to many failures," the princess said. "It does," Jake admitted. "Humans fail a lot, but we learn from our failures and try again, and sometimes we succeed when no one expects us to." Navigator Chris Hamilton called out from his station. "Captain, I'm picking up something strange on long-range sensors. There's a very large object about 6 hours ahead of us." "What kind of object?" Jake asked. "It's too far away to tell for sure," Chris replied. "But it's not moving, and it's much bigger than any ship I've ever seen." Dr. Rodriguez ran a scan with her science equipment. "Captain, whatever it is, it's very old. I'm getting readings that suggest it's been drifting in space for thousands of years." Princess Zara Lynn looked interested. "Captain, could we investigate this object?" "Your Highness, we're supposed to get you to Earth as quickly as possible," Jake said. "Stopping to look at old space junk might not be a good idea." "Please, Captain," the princess said. "My people would never stop to investigate something unknown. They would say it's too risky and not worth the time. But humans explore things just because they're curious, don't they?" Jake looked around at his crew. He could see that they were all curious about the mysterious object, too. "All right, Your Highness. We'll take a look. But if it seems dangerous, we leave immediately." "Thank you, Captain," the princess said with a smile. 4 hours later, the USS Liberty approached the strange object. It was enormous, larger than some moons. The hull was made of dark metal that seemed to absorb light. Strange symbols covered its surface. "Amy, what can you tell us about it?" Jake asked. "It's definitely artificial," Dr. Rodriguez replied. "But the design is unlike anything in our databases. It doesn't match any known species technology." Security Chief Tony Blake joined them on the bridge. "Captain, should I prepare a boarding party?" "Not yet, Tony," Jake said. "Let's scan it first and see what we're dealing with." Princess Zara Lynn was staring at the object with fascination. "Captain, this could be a discovery that changes everything we know about the galaxy. It could also be dangerous," Jake pointed out. "Yes," she agreed. "But isn't that exactly why humans would want to explore it?" Jake had to admit she was right. If this were just a human ship, they would definitely investigate. The princess was challenging him to act like the explorer she thought humans were. "All right," Jake decided. "Tony, prepare a small boarding party. Amy, you're going too. We need a science officer to figure out what this thing is." "Captain," Princess Zara Lynn said, "I want to go with them." "Absolutely not," Jake replied immediately. "You're too important. If something happens to you, it could start a war." Captain Morrison, she said firmly, I didn't choose to travel on a human ship just to hide in my room when something interesting happens. I want to see how humans explore the unknown. Jake looked at her determined face. He could see that she would not give up easily. Your Highness, it could be very dangerous. Everything worth doing is dangerous, she replied. That's what I learned from studying human history. Tony Blake spoke up. Captain, I could keep the princess safe. My team is well trained. Jake thought about it. The princess had been right about everything so far. She had been right about going through the nebula instead of around it. Maybe she was right about this too. All right, Jake said finally. But you follow Tony's orders completely. If he says we leave immediately. I understand, the princess said. An hour later, the boarding party was ready. Tony Blake led the team, which included Dr. Rodriguez, 2 security officers, and Princess Zara Lynn. They took a small shuttle over to the mysterious ship. The airlock is still working, Tony reported over the radio. The ship has atmosphere, but it's very old and stale. Be careful, Jake warned them from the Liberty's bridge. The boarding party entered the alien ship slowly. Their flashlights revealed corridors filled with strange equipment. Everything was covered in dust, but the technology looked incredibly advanced. Captain, Dr. Rodriguez's voice came over the radio. This ship is amazing. The technology here is thousands of years ahead of anything we have. I'm finding what looks like a computer system, Tony reported. The princess thinks she can read some of the symbols. Princess Zara Lynn's voice came through clearly. Captain Morrison, these symbols are similar to ancient Veltharian writing. I think this ship belonged to an old civilization that existed before my people developed space travel. Can you learn anything from it? Jake asked. I'm trying to access their computers, she replied. If I can translate their records, we might learn about civilizations that disappeared long ago. For the next 2 hours, the boarding party explored the ancient ship. They found libraries of information, star maps showing parts of the galaxy that no one had ever seen, and technology that could help many different species. Captain, Princess Zara Lynn said excitedly, this discovery is incredible. The knowledge on this ship could benefit both humans and Veltharians for generations. Did you find anything dangerous? Jake asked. No, Tony replied. The ship is completely dead. Whatever happened to its crew was a long time ago. When the boarding party returned to the Liberty, Princess Zara Lynn was carrying several data storage devices from the ancient ship. Her eyes were bright with excitement. Captain Morrison, she said, this is exactly what I was hoping for when I chose to travel with humans. My people would have scanned this ship from a distance and marked it on a chart for someone else to investigate later. But you decided to explore it right away. It was your idea to stop and look, Jake pointed out. But it was your decision to actually do it, she replied. That's the difference between humans and Veltharians. You act on your curiosity instead of just thinking about it. Dr. Rodriguez was already studying the alien data. Captain, some of this information could help us understand how to travel faster between stars. Other parts seem to be about medicine and agriculture. Your Highness, Jake said to the princess, what will you do with this discovery? I will share it with both our peoples, she said. This will be the first joint human-Veltharian research project. It will show everyone that we can accomplish more by working together than we can separately. As the USS Liberty continued toward Earth, Jake realized that Princess Zara Lynn had learned more than just how humans solve problems. She had learned how to think like an explorer herself. The trip was changing her just as much as it was teaching her about his people. The USS Liberty was only a few hours away from Earth when everything changed. Captain Jake Morrison was on the bridge, watching the blue planet grow larger on the main screen. Princess Zara Lynn stood beside him, excited to finally reach their destination. Captain, Lieutenant Ben Parker called out urgently. We have a problem. A large Veltharian fleet just appeared on our sensors. They're moving to intercept us. Jake frowned. How large? 12 warships, sir, Ben replied. Much bigger than General Thexkar's escort fleet. Princess Zara Lynn's face went pale. That's my uncle's fleet. Prince Zethmore must have come to stop me from completing this journey. Why would he do that? Jake asked. He believes I have dishonored our family by traveling on a human ship, she explained. He thinks arriving at Earth this way will make other species think the Veltharians are weak. Dr. Amy Rodriguez looked up from her science station. Captain, the Earth Defense Fleet is also moving toward us. Admiral Rachel Stone is leading 6 human ships. So we're caught in the middle, Jake said grimly. Incoming message from Prince Zethmore, Ben announced. Put it on screen, Jake ordered. A tall Veltharian with cold silver eyes appeared on the viewer. Unlike Princess Zaralyn, he wore elaborate royal robes covered in gold and jewels. His face showed anger and disappointment. Niece, Prince Zethmore said, this foolishness has gone on long enough. You will transfer to my flagship immediately and complete your journey in a proper manner. Uncle Zethmore, Princess Zaralyn replied firmly, I will not transfer to your ship. I chose to travel with the humans, and I will arrive at Earth aboard the USS Liberty. You have already embarrassed our family enough, the prince said harshly. The entire galaxy is talking about how a Veltharian princess refused her own people's protection and chose inferior human technology instead. The technology is not inferior, she replied. It's different, and sometimes different is better. Prince Zethmore's face grew darker. You will obey me, Zaralyn. I am ordering my ships to disable the human vessel and take you aboard. Uncle, if you attack this ship, you will be attacking me as well, the princess warned. Then I will protect you from your own poor judgment, he said, and ended the communication. Jake turned to his tactical officer. Sam, how many ships are we facing? 12 Veltharian warships and 6 human ships, Lieutenant Sam Torres replied. But I don't think the human ships will fight us. They're probably just trying to protect Earth. Captain Morrison, Princess Zaralyn said, I'm sorry my family has put you in this situation. It's not your fault, Your Highness, Jake replied. But we need to figure out how to solve this problem. Admiral Stone is calling, Ben announced. Put her through, Jake said. A middle-aged woman with graying hair appeared on the screen. Admiral Rachel Stone looked concerned but determined. Captain Morrison, she said, I'm Admiral Stone of the Earth Defense Fleet. We're here to make sure you reach Earth safely. Thank you, Admiral, Jake replied. But I don't want to start a fight between humans and Veltharians. Neither do I, Admiral Stone agreed. But we gave our word that we would protect Princess Zaralyn. Earth keeps its promises. Princess Zaralyn stepped forward so the Admiral could see her. Admiral Stone, I appreciate your offer to help, but I have a different idea. What do you have in mind, Your Highness? The Admiral asked. I want to address both fleets at the same time, the princess said. I think it's time for everyone to understand why I made this choice. Jake looked at her with surprise. Are you sure about this? Yes, Captain. This journey has taught me many things about humans and about myself. I want to share what I've learned. Admiral Stone nodded. I can arrange for you to broadcast to both fleets. Thank you, the princess said. A few minutes later, Princess Zaralyn was standing in front of a camera on the Liberty's bridge. Jake knew that her words were being heard by thousands of people on dozens of ships. My fellow Veltharians and human friends, she began. I want to explain why I chose to travel aboard the USS Liberty instead of our own ships. She paused for a moment, then continued. For weeks, many people have asked me this question. Some think I was being foolish or trying to insult my own people. That is not true. I chose Captain Morrison's ship because I wanted to learn something that our people have forgotten. I wanted to remember what it means to explore, to take risks, and to try new things even when they seem impossible. During this journey, I have watched humans solve problems in ways that Veltharians would never consider. When we faced enemies in the nebula, they didn't run away or fight with superior force. They used the danger itself as a weapon. When we found an ancient ship full of knowledge, they didn't mark it on a chart for later study. They explored it immediately, even though it could have been dangerous. These humans have shown me that sometimes the best solution is not the safest or most obvious one. Sometimes you have to be willing to fail in order to have a chance to succeed. Jake could see that people were listening carefully to her words. Even Prince Zethmore's ships had stopped moving toward them. Uncle Zethmore, The princess continued, "You say I have dishonored our family, but I believe I have honored the spirit of our ancestors who first traveled to the stars. They didn't stay safe at home. They took risks and explored the unknown. I am not rejecting Veltharian ways. I am trying to combine the best of our people with the best of humanity. Together, we can accomplish things that neither of us could do alone. The ancient ship we discovered proves this. The knowledge we found there will help both our peoples, but we never would have found it if we had taken the safe, predictable route. So I ask all of you to let me complete this journey as I began it. Let me arrive at Earth aboard a human ship, not as an insult to Veltharians, but as a symbol of cooperation between our peoples." When she finished speaking, there was silence on all the communication channels. Jake waited to see what would happen next. Prince Zethmore's face appeared on the screen again. He looked thoughtful instead of angry. "Niece," he said slowly, "you have given me much to think about. Perhaps there is wisdom in your choice that I did not see before. Uncle, will you let me complete my journey?" she asked. The prince was quiet for a long moment. Then he nodded. "Yes, Zaralyn. Arrive at Earth however you choose. I will tell your father that you showed courage and wisdom on this trip." Admiral Stone's voice came over the communication system. "Princess Zaralyn, the Earth Defense Fleet, will escort you safely to the planet." "Thank you, Admiral," the princess replied. As the USS Liberty approached Earth with both human and Veltharian ships flying beside them, Jake felt proud of what they had accomplished. The princess had not just reached her destination safely. She had found a way to bring two very different peoples closer together. "Captain Morrison," Princess Zaralyn said, "thank you for showing me what humans are really capable of. This journey has changed how I think about everything." "Your Highness," Jake replied, "I think you've changed too. You're not the same person who boarded my ship 3 weeks ago." She smiled. "No, I'm not. I've learned to think like an explorer, and that's something I will never forget." When they landed on Earth, Princess Zaralyn kept her promise. The peace talks led to more than just an end to conflicts. They created a new partnership between humans and Veltharians that would benefit both peoples for generations to come. The ancient knowledge they had discovered together became the foundation for joint research projects and shared exploration missions. Princess Zaralyn had been right. Sometimes the most important journeys are not about reaching your destination, but about what you learn along the way. Captain Jake Morrison and the crew of the USS Liberty received honors from both Earth and the Veltharian Empire, but the greatest reward was knowing that they had helped two civilizations understand each other better. And Princess Zaralyn never forgot the lesson she learned aboard a small human ship, that courage, curiosity, and determination can overcome any obstacle no matter how impossible it might seem.